Okay, everyone, welcome back. This is the update for the Nailing FX Simplified FX Trading session I did this morning. All right, let's get right down to it. A lot of good information provided today. Again, I'm from Bien Hoa, Dong Nai province here in Vietnam, coming to you from the Pegasus Plaza downtown. I did the session this morning at 10 o'clock Vietnam time, 10 a.m., and that's 4 a.m. in London, and of course it's 11 p.m. the day before, Tuesday, in New York. So let's go ahead and get right into this. It was another YouTube session, so you can go to YouTube, Trading with UFOs, and find that session to review the entire hour that was done. There may be a little bit of a glitch in there. I'm not sure. I don't know what happened. It looked like the computer froze up for some time, and I had to do a restart. But you'll see what it's all about. All right. So next week I will be doing another session on the 15th, and that session will be at FX Street. So make sure you watch for that. You can go to www.tradingwithufos.com/OPA, and at the top of that page you see a get together link. You can click on that. You can register. It's no cost to register, and you'll be able to download into your calendar what the sessions will be, my sessions, as well as other Nailing FX instructor sessions, as well as other asset class instructors. So that's a good resource for you to have. All right, so I had a disclaimer this morning. I'm not going to give you the whole disclaimer. You know that we don't ever tell you exactly what to do. Our method is to teach you how to do it. You must make your own decisions. And this was the 6th session in the Nailing series. And today was a review of the last session where I put on a Euro USD trade. So let's get right to it. Excuse me. I did the quick video review of the setup and then went through the monitoring and managing it, the correlations, and then we hunted for an actual trade. So I actually put on another trade this morning. All right, so here is the review from the last session. You can see this is a screenshot right off of the video. This was the time frame right here. This is a 4-hour chart where we implemented, or I implemented, the trade. You can see that here is the limit buy. I was waiting for the price to drop to that buy limit and take me in. I had to stop down here below. It was about a 40 pip stop, and then up above it was an 80 pip target. So it was a 2-to-1 trade. Here's what it looked like over on the trading view side. You can see here I was on 2 zones. They were basically one right on top of the other. That's why I went down to the lower level of the second zone here. And I explained all of that this morning in the actual session. So please go in and review that session. This is what the trade looked like when I set it up. You can see here is the information. I think I made a slight mistake here when I copied over, but it's within 0.3 of a pip, so it's not a big deal. Here you can see this is where we put, or I put, the buy limit. Here was the stop just below that lower zone, and here was the target just below the sell zone here, giving me a little bit of a buffer so that I could get in case it just came up and kissed the bottom of that zone and wanted to go down. All right, so that's what it looked like when the trade was put on. That was that Wednesday, last week, Wednesday. Thursday last week, at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I got curious and I took a look at what happened with that trade. So here you can see there's where the trade was put on. About 1, 2, 8 hours, about 8 hours, a little less than 8 hours later, price came down and took me in, okay? So 8 hours after the trade, or maybe a little bit more, there could have been 12 hours in there. Obviously, the trade got taken in, and at 1 o'clock, it was up here very, very close to my target. So what I did was I immediately went into a management mode and moved my stop, so that I locked in 44.3 pips. Here's what the trade looked like initially. There's the initial. The initial stop loss was down at 584, and then I moved the stop loss up significantly, so that was 1584, and I moved the stop loss to 2443. So that was a 44 pip approximately locked in profit, and at that point I was in a free trade. Now, if there had been a significant slippage, it could have taken me a little bit below that, but it didn't look like there was going to be much slippage. You can see here, because of the day later, I paid a 70-cent commission on a mini, and I had a swap of minus 1.4, and I explained what the swap was in my session this morning. So you go to review that. And here again, as price moved up, I again moved the stop to lock in approximately another 10 pips, because I saw that going up, and with that kind of a gain, I was, it's my money. Once it's in my account, I consider it my money. Why should I give it back? So I will give back a little bit, but I'm not going to give back that much. So I switched to a 15-minute chart to see what was going on so I could get a better perspective, and that's where I decided to put that new stop under the last significant pivot here, okay? So, and everything, lined up, the MACDs, I explained all of that this morning, and so the stop was now moved up to 541, 541. A little while later, again, at about 125, I looked at the chart, and what I saw was, especially on the MACD, remember I draw the trend line in here, and I saw that there was a significant divergence, which told me that there was a good possibility that price was going to drop down again. This is going to drop down, and it could keep going down, although the MACD did indicate that there was still some significant strength to the upward move. But again, being rather safe than sorry, I moved my stop. You can see it went from 612 at that point down up to 671. So I added another about 5-6 pips to my locked-in profit, and you can see here it is showing pink and green. When it shows pink and green in MT4, what it's telling you is that you're within 10 pips of the stop and also within 10 pips of the target. At that point, it was at 73.60 was the price size. So I was within within 7 pips of hitting that target. Okay, and then what happened? At about an hour later, I was on the phone. I didn't have a chance to watch too much, but what happened was price turned around, came through here, this green line. That was my adjusted stop. There was my initial target up here. And so it took me out. And so I got taken out with 68.4 pips of profit. Remember, I focus exclusively on pips, not on dollars, but because it's a one-to-one, I know that that was the dollar amount as well. So here we are. It took me out at 223, and what happened was price broke that trend line that I initially drew, which would have told me, if I had been able to watch it, that price was going to significantly rise more, and I would have moved my stop up. Usually I move it up when I'm getting really tight. I go to what's called a 2-bar look back, and so I would have, up in here, I would have had the stop under here, maybe locked in another 4 or 5 pips, could have maybe got into the 70, 71, 72 range in terms of pips gained. But then you can see what happened here. This was 1423, 223. 7 minutes later, price turned around again and shot way up, all the way up here, and would have hit my initial target. Do I cry because they didn't get my initial target? No, absolutely not. I made the 75 to 80% of my target. Not a bad trade at all. I'm very happy with that trade. Monitoring and managing. There's no telling that this could have turned around and continued down. So if I had left my stop down below, I could have gotten stopped out at a loss. Or when I initially moved it up, I would have got stopped out at a significantly less profit, less pips, 44 pips rather than 68 pips. All right, so that's a big difference, monitoring and managing. There's no guarantee that one is better than the other. You just have to learn what, how the markets move, and take your chances. This is a game of risk. You risk, and you have to be confident in what you're doing. I'm very confident. It worked out well. It worked out well for me. I'm very happy with that trade. Then we went on and did a trade, put on a trade, did a search. So let's go ahead and see if I can get out of that. And close. Okay, close that. And so here is what the trade looked like. This is here, you can see this real quick. Here is the trade. I started out on the daily time frame, moved down to the 4-hour, got down to the 1-hour, and the trade looked like it would follow through. Looking at the zones, and I explained all of the details in the session. So go to the session, watch the session, and I'm looking for now price to drop to my limit buy, similar to last week, and not go down further than my stop loss, turn around and go up to T1, which is approximately a 2-to-1, or maybe just a little better than 1-to-1. Then I have a T2 up here, and I explained why I looked at these levels. You can see all this consolidation, a very tight range here, and finally a T3 up here at the top. So next week, next Wednesday, tune in live if you can, and take a look and see what we're doing. We will analyze this trade, see how it turns out. Until then, have a great week, and hope to see you, more of you. Tell your friends that are traders to tune in. You have the information, and watch what we do. It's doesn't cost you anything, and it's a very great educational experience. Until next time, thanks a lot for watching. I will see you then. Bye-bye.